Oh, it's perfect, dude. Oh man, I don't know how we played the last fucking game. To
So
tell you the truth.
how did we come across with the idea? Because was lock strafe even an option in Ratchet and Clank 2? No, because
No,
we just had strafing.
right.
So how did we come? How did in design you come up to that sort of approach of making that step from a strafe mode to a straight up lock strafe mode?
I honestly don't remember. I think we'd have to have like Corey or Algair on to talk about that because I had practically nothing to do with it. Oh shit! I'm supposed to be taking down the bolts. Uh, what were we talking about? Oh right.
We're talking about lock strafe.
Yeah, I know it was a huge problem because we wanted to change the controls for Lock Strafe because the experience in Lock Strafe is, I don't know if I'd say better, but it's certainly tighter. Like
It lets you play a more actiony run and gun style.
exactly, and that's what we wanted to get to in Ratchet. We wanted one big disadvantage of the non-Lock Strafe mode is it's not easy for you to aim up and down.
Right.
The main way that you aim up and down without complete camera control like this is by jumping, right? And we couldn't rely on that as at least not as much as if you had the ability to aim up. So I think for a while we experimented with making this the default mode, and people who had played the game before just hated it. They wanted their old controls back. They didn't like learning the new controls. So we put it in as an option. The other reason it was really necessary to get for this game was multiplayer.
Yes, that's right.
We
We
wanted.
haven't even touched on multiplayer yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that was a whole other bag of worms, whole other ball of wax, whatever.
You couldn't even just go with can of worms. You had to go with a completely different.
Well, I went with
metaphor.
the ball instead of the worms. Maybe that was unwise.
But yes,
Can you take this over? I need to survive.
I mean, it is a different game in Lock Strafe versus standard third-person controls, and I think
Yeah.
like this was definitely at the point where it was kind of weird, and I don't know if other people felt this way, but when you hear people talking about Ratchet and Clank at this point, when it came to Up Your Arsenal and Deadlocked, people were still calling us a platformer, and we were 100% not a platformer at this point.
We had become a shooter, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
especially in Lock Strafe mode. In Lock Strafe mode, it's barely a platformer.
Now it played to our strengths a bit, though. Like we won awards because we were in the platformer category, but it was kind of unfair.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like we would win best platformer in a year, but we would be up against robots and a DreamWorks game, right? So not to disparage those, but it's not stiff competition. As opposed to being up against actual shooters like Halo and Army of Two, which we never would have had any opportunity to win as a kids game.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, you're right. We were always perceived as a platformer, even though we were more shooter-ish, especially by the time we got to this game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you still played in third-person mode, I can see why you would feel like it was still a platformer. But once you're in Lock Strafe mode, I mean, it's a third-person shooter at that point.
Yeah,
And
definitely. And the lock strafe controls are just better for a shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know I switched to them late. I was one of the late adopters of Lock Strafe. I couldn't get away from using, even when I was playing multiplayer, I was using the regular controls.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I was unusual in that I actually could compete in multiplayer without having the Lock Strafe controls. But generally speaking, it just wasn't possible to compete without the Lock Strafe.
I need you to get that shield system back online.
Yes, sir. We're on it.
Oh yes, Tony, this is mine.
This is yours.
Yes, the
Are we
laser.
finally going to have a Mike Stout special section for Ratchet and Clank 3 Up Your Arsenal developer commentary?
Now, I want to apologize to our listeners a little bit in advance because I don't think this game is going to be as painful for me as the last game. And I think my pain was at least part of the enjoyment.
It was for me. I definitely enjoyed it.
So I'm hoping that we can still keep this funny and entertaining, even though I did way fucking better work in this game than I did in the last game. This segment was what made Mark Cerny give me the best backhanded compliment I've ever gotten. Did I ever tell you about this?
I don't believe so.
So Mark was playing the Refractor segment at this on Ratchet 3. Have we talked about Mark Cerny before? Should we intro him?
Sure. Let's intro him. I don't think we've talked to him about him at length.
So Mark Cerny is a I guess an industry legend is probably a good way to put it.
I think that's fair.
He's been around since the video game industry existed. He worked on Sonic 2. He worked on Marble Madness. He was the executive producer at Sony when Insomniac started. At Universal when Insomniac was with them making Disruptor and the Spyro games.
Cerny also has a very close relationship with Sony in general.
Yes.
In terms of working on the PlayStation hardware and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of the things that were technologically great about the system can be attributed to Mark Cerny. But he was playing this section, and he looked over at me and he said, "Mike, this is as good as Ratchet gameplay gets. This totally makes up for the Inspector Bot segment in Ratchet 2." And you know what? I took that in the spirit I think it was meant. Because really, there's only two ways you can react to that, right? You can either say, "Thank you, Mark, that's really nice of you," or you could say, "The work I did on Ratchet 2? What are you trying to say?" To be fair, though, I think as the last series showed, the Inspector Bot was was really shitty. So
sure. I mean, it's not my place to say, but it was pretty shitty.
The reason why I think this plays so much better than the Inspector Bot in terms of puzzle design is I finally understood a tenet of Ratchet and Clank design that I didn't understand up until now, and that is it is more important for the player to feel smart or to feel powerful or to feel good than it is for him to actually be smart and powerful and good.
Interesting.
It like, for example, the bolt cranks, right? Normally the way that you do them is by spinning the controller around, but all you have to do is hold them down, right? We just wanted you to feel like you were turning the crank without requiring great manual dexterity from you. In the case of like the Clank segments and this sort of gameplay, you're going through each room, you're identifying your goals, you're working through where the laser's supposed to be and everything. But in general, there's only one place the laser can go, right? Into that target. And the fact that the decision space was so limited meant that it felt really good and you felt really smart, but you didn't have to have great lateral thinking skills in order to do it.
Just one quick thing. I'm just going to interrupt you and then you can continue. That bridge was a Peter Hastings special. I think one of the few things he did on this game.
Yes, he actually...
Because as we spoke earlier, he was on Resistance at this point.
Yes, I actually remember when he did that. Yeah, he wanted to do something for this game, and this was his one sort of... The fact that it plays music as you walk across it.
Yeah, he went above and beyond on that bridge.
But yeah, this was Peter taking a break from Resistance to make this game.
So just to get back on track, Mike, would you say that this was possibly an inspiration for the laser beams in Portal?
In Portal? Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, right? This
Yeah.
was first.
I don't think... Okay, hang on. I have to talk about this fucking spider.
Okay, let's talk about the spider.
This spider is the only thing about this design.
You're backtracking pretty quickly there, Mike.
The spider was hell.
Okay.
Getting people to understand what the spider was supposed to do was really hard. So the spider is supposed to shoot a beam into that hole, right? Which you can't angle it into this hole from here because we don't want you to cheat, right? The problem is you can't see the target, so you have no idea where the thing's supposed to go. And you're supposed to bounce it off this spider. You have to make the spider follow the laser up to that point, and then, in user tests, kids had no idea what to do in this section. And we even had one after we put, you see the giant spider texture on the wall?
Yeah.
So we had one session where none of the kids were able to figure out what to do in this room, and we had to tell them all what to do, right? And when we asked them afterwards why they couldn't figure out what to do, they said, well, I knew I was supposed to place the spider somewhere, but I didn't know where. And I said, well, what about that big picture of a spider on the wall? And they said, oh, I thought that was just a decoration. So I interrupted myself to talk about this. What did I...
Yeah, I was just talking about where did the refractor come from? So I think, I guess my question more specifically is...
what inspired it?
Well, every game we tried to have new gadgets. I don't think we've ever really repeated any of our gadgets.
We try not to. Like the swing shot, we can keep around, stuff like that.
Right. So, like, how did the brainstorming come across, and how did you end up settling on the refractor? I imagine there were plenty of ideas for gadgets at the time.
Oh, absolutely. The refractor was because on this game we were starting to run out of ideas that were that were easy to do, right? And we had pretty much done every Zelda gadget that exists, except for light refraction. So it was still on the piece of paper. It's like, well, let's do light reflection, right? And because it's Ratchet, we decided to make it a laser beam, and the rest is history. There's a secret here where you can redirect the beam. Oh, but I need Magnum boots. All right. Remind me to come back here when we get the gravity boots.
I'm not going to do that, but I'll appease you and say that I will.
All right. When we get the gravity boots,
right.
Everybody yell at Tony in the comments.
Did we get anybody calling us out for not getting the Quark figurine and meeting the plumber in the last game?
We did, actually.
Yeah. Sorry that we didn't get the Quark figurine and meet the plumber in the last game.
There was supposed to be a second spider challenge here. In the original version of this level, there was a spider here, and basically what you had to get him to do was walk all the way up this wall, around like that to the other side, and shine a beam in that way. And it was fucking horrible. So we cut it and put a platinum bolt there.
Is that a platinum bolt? It looked like a nanotech boost.
It looks like a bolt. Yeah, it's a platinum bolt.
Okay.
Or whatever the fuck.
I have a low resolution picture. I'm just gonna go off of that. Hey,
yeah.
I know that. Force field.
I know that, but.
Hey, look, it's Al.
No, I don't care about that. I'm talking about the force field. Looks very familiar.
Oh, indeed it was. Did you code that force field?
I think I coded it a game ago.
In RC2?
I think so.
How can you use the city's
Or I think I stole it a game ago. Somebody else coded it, but then I took it for my own.
I really missed Big Al. He's my favorite character in the Ratchet universe, I think.
Clank, you speak, nerd. It appears you have a feedback loop in the
Clank, you speak, nerd. God, Ratchet's still a dick.
Well, he's always kind of a dick. What matters is he's not a dick to Clank. That's all that matters.
Right. Oh, Tony, I think we're about to see some more of my work.
Are we?
Oh, no, I thought there was a hacker puzzle, but I was wrong. Instead, we are just done with the level.
I like that teleporter effect. That teleporter effect also uses Keith's shadow volume effect, because it comes off of Ratchet.
Yeah. Do you think now is the time to talk about shadow volumes, or later?
No, I think we're done. I think we're about to go back to the Starship Phoenix.
I think you're right. In which case, I guess that means we have to go.
I think that means it's the end of the episode.
This always makes me feel a little like the end of a Mr. Rogers episode, where it was just like sort of sad.
I don't think people feel that way about it. I think you compare yourself to Mr. Rogers, and I don't think that's how people see us.
Okay, neighbors. This was Developer Commentary. I'm Mike Stout.
That's more George Bush, by the way.
Really? I didn't think I could do George Bush. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm George Bush.
There's no more impressions here? This is the end?
Okay, yes, this is the end. Ladies and gentlemen, I am George Bush's father.
And I'm Tony Garcia.
And we'll talk to you later. God, that was horrible. Let's do the whole ending again.
All right.
All right, for developer commentary, I'm Mike Stout,
I'm Tony Garcia.
and I'll check it one more time. For developer commentary, I'm Mike Stout,
And I'm Tony Garcia.
and we'll get you later. Fuck! Tony, you do it.
And for Ratchet and Clank, Up Your Arsenal developer commentary, I am Tony Garcia.
And I'm Mike Stout.
And we will see you next time.
What the fuck is wrong with me, dude? All right.